Welcome back to Zach's Tool Shop. My name is Zach Ciota, and I love to talk about tools. And today we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different tools that I just recently purchased and a set that I've had for quite a while, actually. So I just want to get things started by talking about these Hart tools that I found at Walmart. I was looking through the aisles of Walmart at the new Hart tools, which to me, guys, I'll just be honest, it looks like they're a decent middle-of-the-road tool, somewhere in the skill Ryobi category. Something that's not quite for everyday pros, but something that's also not the electric screwdriver that Walmart used to sell. You know what I'm talking about. Electric screwdriver, people. Barring that thing that Weeha made. I'm not sure if it was Weeha or Weira or what, but they made like a $200 electric screwdriver. I remember Brent Ridley from Tool Pros podcast was talking about it. And he tests this stuff out. Brent spends his money, buys these expensive tools, and so that would be the only acceptable professional electric screwdriver. Not to get off on a tangent. But I was walking through the aisles, as I often do. Whatever store I go to, I look at the tools. So I was in the Walmart store here in Burgaw. That's a real place. And I saw that this multi-set, this 4-piece set, was on sale, $40 off. Now, what I'm going to assume is that they're pushing out these older brushed tools to get in their brushless selection. But to me, I don't discriminate. I like tools, brushed, brushless. I like them all. So I went ahead and purchased it because I wanted to kind of get a feel for it and get a few more batteries. That's one of my main motivations. I have several Hart tools and I have one battery, so I wanted to get a couple more batteries. Now, they're just small batteries. I think they're 1.5 amp hour, but we have a few lights that I use around the house and stuff like that. They make a great flip light, so I went ahead and bought it. And I wanted to show you guys what was in the box. Now, for those of you who might listen as a podcast, I'm just going to describe it very well, hopefully, and you can see this on YouTube as well. And I'll continue to use these tools in my everyday travels, so you'll be able to see them in action as well. First, we have the Hart 24-volt lithium-ion 1.5 amp hour battery. That's the first one of those. Next thing I bring out of there is going to be their little handheld light. Everybody seems to make one of these handheld lights, just these cheapies. I bought a couple Ryobi ones from Direct Tools for $14 a piece. It's nice to have around. It's one of those things that it's not particularly sexy when you get a tool set, but it does come into some use after time, at least. And we shine it right there. I would say that it is okay. Nothing spectacular. You have to go feed the dog at night. You forgot to feed the dog and want to walk down to the dog pen. This is the light for you right here. Next, we have the Hart drill driver, 2 speeds. We have 24 different clutch positions. Let's see the specs on this thing. This is the HPD D01VN 20 volts. You have to forgive me, guys, because I'm old. I have to take my glasses off and look at things. We have a low speed of 0 to 440 rotations per minute, and then 1600 on high speed. Does not have any torque listed right here, but if I get a chance, I'll look up the torque specs on it as well. The next thing we have is going to be the reciprocating saw, which I did use yesterday. I was ripping apart some evaporator coils so I could scrap them out for some extra cash, probably to buy tools with, which is what I said in the video. You guys will see that video coming up in a few days. Did a decent job. This seems like it's a little bit bulkier than some of the other ones that I've used, some of the battery sawzalls. Not too bad, but just I noticed it was a little bit bulkier. Put the blades in the same way you put in a lot of saws. You pull the lever up, slide the blade in, nothing special there. And HPRS 011, 0 to 3,300 revolutions per minute, or strokes per minute, I guess. Nothing too abnormal, great, or bad about it. It seemed to do a pretty good job. Just had an amp or 1.5 amp hour battery when I was doing the evaporator teardown. So it only lasted for about 4 or 5 evaporator panels before the battery was dead. But truthfully, I would want like a 4 amp hour battery, and I do believe they make one of those. If I were doing an actual teardown and really wanted to trust this saw with that teardown, I would get a couple 4 amp hour batteries, because we're going to go through batteries because we're cutting through screws, galvanized aluminum and copper metal, so it's going to have its work cut out for it. Here's another battery. The battery pack, let's see if it has a model number. I don't think it does. Maybe it does. Nope, nothing there. So just Hart 20 volt lithium ion 1.5 amp hour battery. We have the impact driver. last but not least, I did use this yesterday. You can start to see some dirt accruing on some of these tools. This is the HP IDO1VN 20 volt, and it goes 0 to 2500 revolutions and 0 to 3200 impacts per minute. So this seemed to be relatively close to like my Ryobi one. I'll have to test them side by side. I did do a little test the other day with a couple of the impacts that I picked up recently. Got the M12, which is not fair because it was going against the Ryobi 18 volt and the Skill 20 volt. And we'll talk about some of that here in just a minute. But so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, counting the 2 batteries. It came with a charger. The Hart charger is not spectacular. It has a little thin wire that runs through the wall. I like the chargers. They're the beefy chargers, the one with the thick cables that run to the wall, because I do believe I could just take this cable in my hands and pull it apart. It's one of those cables like that, like you see on like hyper tough tools. So that could be a possible improvement. I do believe they make a better charger, but I kind of like the people who stick the good chargers with everything. Even Ryobi does this now, where they had nice chargers with thick cables before, and then every now and then now you get one of these little tiny thin cables, which is it's disgusting, people. In fact, let me go grab it real quick. I'll describe it for you guys on the podcast while I show the people here that are watching. This is the kind of cable that I'm talking about. This is a Ryobi charger, and you get a little tiny cable like this, which isn't too horrible. It's better than some of them, but I like the ones that are like thick lamp cords. You guys know what I'm talking about. I have like the 2 braided conductors inside of them. This one is just, I could pull this apart. I mean, I could yank on it and break it in half. And I think that I shouldn't be able to do that with one of these nice power tool chargers. But every now and then one of these sneaks in. I guess they're trying to save money, or they put it with some of the kits, that, you know, they're low price kits. I'm not sure, but I definitely prefer one of their beefier chargers. So I've started to actually bleed red now as well. A lot of you guys love to bleed red, and what I mean is you like Milwaukee products. And some of you like them so much it's fluke-like in its intensity. So I would sometimes I would say that Ryobi is better, just to, I guess, tick you guys off sometimes. But the stuff is great. I know it's great. I've seen it before. Like I said, I had the Sawzall back here from 1996 that's still running strong. It's good stuff. And they're made by the same company, or owned by the same company. I shouldn't say made by. They're owned by the same company, which is TTI, that owns Ryobi. And what I didn't know, they actually own Hart, too. So they own Hart. It's kind of funny to find Hart, too, because I just bought some Hart products. So I wanted to expand because a lot of people are like, does Ryobi sponsor you or something? I said, no, I just have a bunch of Ryobi tools. That's why you see me using them in the videos. But I know if I'm going to continue doing videos like this, I need to expand into something else. So, and I didn't have $1 million to spend. So when I went to Home Depot, I picked up the M12 drill and driver. Nothing, not the fuel or anything like that, just a standard M12 drill and driver. I just wanted to break in. I want to get some batteries so I can branch off into different categories. It came with 2 batteries. These are M12 red lithium CP 1.5 amp hour batteries. It came with 2 of those. The model number for the drill and driver, let's start with the drill. First of all, it has 0 to 400 revolutions per minute on low speed, 0 to 1500 on high speed. This is the Milwaukee, we'll just call it Milwaukee 3/8 or 10 millimeter drill and driver, just the basic M12 drill. Also have the impact driver right here, which is something I look forward to because a lot of times, like when I used to do HVAC service calls, I like carrying like a small drill or impact. So I probably would carry the drill just so I could drill holes for testing air temperature, but I do like a small impact. I really like the impact driver. This is the Milwaukee M12 impact driver, 1/4 inch hex input here, impact driver. It looks like it's written in very tiny letters here. 0 to 3,300 impacts and 0 to, I believe that's 2,500. Good grief. I'm getting too old for this, guys. Got to look up really close. 2,500 revolutions per minute. So pretty standard. No torque specs on here, but I'm sure I can look that up and get that for you by the time the show comes out. So after I purchased the M12 stuff, a fire was lit inside of me to bleed even more red than I was already starting to bleed. So I went back. I did like a duct job for HVAC. I don't do a whole lot of HVAC in the field anymore, but I decided to go do a duct job because it was my brother-in-law. He's moving a house, so I ripped out the ductwork and ripped out the plumbing system for him. So I had a little bit of extra money, so I said, I'm going back to Home Depot. This is in Wilmington, North Carolina, and there was a special. And when I see special and tools together, I get excited. So what this is, I have two M12 Red Lithium XC 6.0 batteries. They were selling 2 of these batteries and giving you a free tool. So the first thing I did, I asked what tools are offered and what is the most expensive one, because I like the best bang for the buck. So most of them were gone because people had taken advantage of this offer. So what was left, I thought I would get the Milwaukee Fuel circular saw. And this is, let me see if I can find the information for this. This is the Milwaukee 5 3/8 circular saw. It is M12 Fuel, 3,600 revolutions per minute. Of course, 12 volts DC, because that's the battery platform. I've gotten to use all of these tools. I've gotten to use the impact, the drill, and the saw. The most exciting of the 3 is by a long shot the saw. I was using this yesterday. I had to cut some boards. I was making some shelving for the batteries and the chargers that I have, and I'll give you a picture of that too, guys. And I was using this to cut some of the cuts I didn't use the miter saw for. And man, it was like butter, man. I know it's a new blade in there, but just the power of the saw for the size and the ease of use. Like, for example, when you hold this saw, typically there's a button that you have to engage to be able to pull the trigger down. Like, you push it to the side and you pull the trigger down. Now this saw has a button you push downward and pull the trigger. And I was sitting there like, what is this crap? Why would I want to do that? But once I cut a few boards, I realized it is a much better design, and I really love the fact that it did that. So that was really, really cool. And it's like a small thing that's like, okay, Milwaukee knows what they're doing. If I look around the saw, just looking at the plate with the saw rest to the board and looking at some of the adjustments, they're just a higher quality than the ones I'm used to from other brands that I love. And I can't even say their name right now because Ryobi doesn't make as good a looking saw as this. That's just the truth. Maybe they will, but they don't yet. Not that I have. So it just looks like a higher quality. Just looking around at it, it was just so nice to use. I liked it so much. Now, I like this a lot more than I like the drill and impact driver. And I think if I had the fuel version of this, which I hope I'm understanding this correct, guys. I'm not a Milwaukee guy. So from what I understand, there's regular stuff, and then there's fuel. And I think there's a surge as well. So I'm going to get into it as I get funds whenever that happens. I keep buying tools, you know. But these were a lot less spectacular to use. They did fine. They did okay. Obviously, this was last place, and I'm talking about the M12 Impact when I compared the impacts that I have, which is the M12, the Skill 20-volt power cord, which is actually sitting right over here, and the Ryobi 18-volt that I've had for a long time. The Ryobi was much more powerful than either one of those, and the Milwaukee came in a distant last. But it is what it is. I mean, it's an M12 tool. It's a standard M12 tool, and it's not going to win. For sure. But for like a service drill or something like that, I mean, it's just fine for that. It'll do the job. And by service drill, I mean like a trade service, like HVAC service or electrical service. You're troubleshooting. Maybe you have to drill in a couple holes with a step bit. Nothing too spectacular. I think they would be fine for that. And drilling the holes for the step bit, I'm referring to this drill. And it's a 3/8. It's a 3/8 size chuck. So you're not going to get one of the big step bits. You got to get a smaller. You can go to Harbor Freight and buy their step bits. There's 3 gold things that they sell. They'll fit in here. So they were on sale too. It was $129 for the 2 drills, let's say. I'm going to call them both drills. Sometimes people get in trouble for doing that. It's like, it's not a drill driver. This is an impact driver. This is a drill. And okay, I want you guys to believe that I know what they are. I've used the things for like, ever since impacts first started being popular about 20 years ago. I've been using them. Sometimes I call them the wrong thing. Like I'll call this a skill saw instead of a circular saw, because that's just what I do. Because Skill made a saw, and it's just we always called them skill saws. I don't know what it is. I think it's like tissue paper, or like you call every jug of refrigerant Freon. It's just something that's stuck. It's a name that's stuck, whether it be a brand or whatever. It happens. You're gonna have to forgive me. All right, we're gonna have to forgive me. It'll be all right. I look forward to getting more of these, especially the fuel side. I look forward to breaking into the M18 fuel as well, because I think that's where it's going to get exciting. When I get some of those tools that are just as powerful or close to the power of corded tools, or even some of them might be more powerful now. Like if you don't already, check out my buddy Brent Ridley on the Tool Pros podcast. He's got like a ton of tools that are fuel, a lot of the high-end like Flex Volt DeWalt tools. And to me, I've always lived on the bottom of the spectrum. Even when I use these things every single day, I never had the fanciest stuff. I'm going to try to get into some of that and tell you guys how I think it works compared to some of the stuff that I have here. It's not the top. It's not top stuff. There's some top stuff in this shop, but I mean, this is top. I like this. But I'm sure the 18-volt version is a beast compared to this. I want to talk a little bit about the Skill tools that I got last year, because Skill actually sent out some tools to me, but I think I'll save that for next time because it's going to be a longer story, because some of those are okay and some of them are just not good. I just don't like them. So we'll go into that next time, and I'll tell you why that is, and you can decide for yourself. But I'm really happy with this saw. This is like the best thing that's come out of the tool purchases this week. I like the Hart stuff, but Hart stuff, it's standard stuff. It's standard brush stuff. This is brushless. This is powerful. I'm trying to warm up to the idea that stuff brushless. Got to get some brushless stuff in here. It's going to be good stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, guys. My name is Zach Ciota. If you need to get a hold of me, you can just email me at ZacharyCiota. It's ZacharyPsioda @gmail.com. I hope I spelled that right. It's hard to spell my name. ZacharyPsioda @gmail.com. If you have a tool you think I need to get, so maybe you're out there thinking, why don't you buy any DeWalt stuff? So what you got to get is Makita. I don't mind, man. I don't discriminate. I saw a Makita. I need a biscuit joiner to put together some boards to put a tabletop together, and I don't have a biscuit joiner. I've never owned a biscuit joiner, but Makita makes a cordless one. But I had to get some batteries and chargers, and you know how it is. There's always one more thing to get. But I'm looking at that Makita biscuit joiner, and I want it. I don't want to go to Harbor Freight and just get something to put stuff together. I want the Makita. I think it looks great. Maybe that's next. I don't know. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening and watching. I hope you follow the podcast once it comes out. You're going to see this as a YouTube video first, so that'll be out. I'm working on a podcast version of it, so whenever the podcast version comes out, I will let you guys know, probably on the YouTube channel and on social media. Zach's Tool Shop is on Facebook, and we're also on Instagram and TikTok, and on YouTube it's called Zachary Ciota, just my name, and you can follow all our stuff there. Most of it you'll see on all the different channels, but some of them have specific content for that channel, so make sure to subscribe to them all. I hope you guys work safely. Don't chop any fingers off, and make sure you get plenty of sleep. And read your Bibles too. Read your Bibles every week, every day if you can. And I will see you guys on the next show.